Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we can buy any more time on this break, so we don't want to lose any more time before we head for the session. So I'd like to request you all to please coordinate and be seated here at this hall. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know women love to talk and women love to have these amazing conversations. Not that men don't like, but I just would like to ask you to please come to the point and let's talk business since we're here talking about business and we're talking about our work across the barriers. International Business Women Summit is where we are at today. This is the second day of the summit, and the session that we're heading towards is textile. And on this session, we're basically going to be talking about how we could collaborate and see for sustainable textile industry through exports. So basically, we're here from across the region and beyond the region, of course. And by joining forces, we are addressing the issues on a scale equal to challenge. I think today there is an urgency and expanse of sustainability issues facing the textile industry that requires a collective attention on a global scale, which is why collaboration could be a heart for sustainable textile industry. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to your moderator. And he's going to make my job easier here since I'll have him here and he'll be basically taking over and introduce you to the speakers of the session, and he'll basically give you an entire perspective of how we could collaborate and seek for sustainable development in terms of export in textiles. Our moderator for textile would be someone who's currently working as the consultant for enterprise development and also working as the director at Youth Initiative. He's a social entrepreneur and also engaged at Change Fusion Nepal. He has also worked as a consultant at ILO and for many non-for-profit organizations in the development sector. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you and welcome amongst your huge round of applause. Before I call his name, I'm pretty much sure you would be reminded of the winner for US Open 2017. One of my favorite players, by the way. Not sure if the moderator is the one. We'll see after he does his job here. Please welcome Mr. Rafael Paudel.
Thank you, Mandira. And of course, so I didn't know Raphael when I was named Raphael, so I actually put my name Raphael by myself then. Okay, so without ado, since we have a lot less time to, close the whole day, and also the textile is going to be a longer session because we are going to have like two sections of the sessions on the textiles. And as you know, also like Santi Chadda, ma'am, she said that you could see the gallery of all the textiles, hand-woven textiles, and diversity of the textiles that we have, that have been welcoming you since the first day. And then we are going to talk more on this topic specifically. So greetings and warm welcome to all the dignitaries, successful and striving entrepreneurs who gather in this summit, which celebrates the diversity of manufacturing and service industries with a possibility to care, share, and grow together. This session will particularly focus on the textile industry, starting with the collaboration for sustainable textile industry through exports. So this first section will be talking mostly about where we are in terms of textile exports, and for that, we'll have the pleasure to hear and interact with Deputy Political and Economic Chief from US Embassy to Nepal and Honorable Deputy Minister from Sri Lanka, so whom I'll be calling one by one and who would be sharing their experience or their ideas specifically on this, how we can collaborate in terms of exporting textiles. Then we'll have a short break and return to meet three speakers who have blended traditional textiles with modern styles. So, first of all, I would like to welcome Ms. Stephanie L. Reed, who is Deputy Political Economic Chief from US Embassy to Nepal. Ms. Reed has worked on political, economic, and development issues in countries like Pakistan, Malawi, Ethiopia, Madagascar, France, and Belgium. We are grateful to her for organizing bilateral trade and investment framework agreement talks between the United States and Nepal. Let's welcome Ms. Stephanie L. Reed to present on Trade Preferences Program for Nepal, because so when she said it's not act, it's a program. So I would like to reiterate it's a Trade Preferences Program for Nepal, which was announced post-earthquake 2015, which devastated the country massively. So I would like to welcome Ms. Reed to share her speech over here. Thank you.
All right, namaste everyone. And those of you who are still getting some tea or looking at the textiles in the corridor, please don't be shy. Come in and hear what we all have to say about textiles. So it's my pleasure to be here and join you for this final day of the International Business Women's Summit. I'd like to thank SAWDF in particular for hosting this event and giving us the chance to go deep into some of my favorite topics: promoting women as key economic actors, how regional connectivity can stimulate growth, and the way the Nepal Trade Preference Program can help us achieve both of these goals. So this year we're celebrating the 70th anniversary of bilateral relations between the United States and Nepal. As we celebrate this milestone, we're looking forward to the next goal, which is broadening our bilateral and regional business ties. The Nepal Trade Preference Program is one avenue that can help women and men in both Nepal and the region to increase exports to the United States. To take advantage of this 10-year opportunity, many of you might even create business partnerships. The United States and Nepal have achieved a lot together since 1947. The economic pillar of our bilateral relationship is strong, and we've seen it getting stronger in recent years. But there's still a lot of room for growth. We're not only hoping to increase Nepal's exports to the United States, but also are building the trade and business relationships, both in Nepal and across the region, that will provide the foundation for stronger economic relationships overall. While there are many ways we can measure the strength of our relationship, let me start with some trade figures. In 2016, the United States and Nepal conducted $129 million in total goods trade. Nepal exported $89 million of this amount. So that means that in spite of the small size of this country, which is just one country in the broader region, Nepal ran a trade surplus with the United States last year. And yes, these figures are modest, but they do reflect first and foremost an interest among American businesses in the Nepal market. But they also present us with the challenge to improve the enabling environment to really allow trade and investment to thrive. The United States would like to see a stable, prosperous Nepal, as well as a stable, prosperous South Asia. So looking at some demography statistics, demographers estimate that South Asia will be the most populous region in the world by 2060. Those of you involved in business here certainly know that despite the region's massive population and market size, intra-regional trade makes up only 5% of total trade volume across South Asia. Trade among South Asian nations is worth only about $2 billion, making the region one of the least integrated in the world. In contrast, the nations of ASEAN, some of our ASEAN sisters might know, enjoy brisk intra-regional trade that accounts for 25% of total trade. And looking to Africa, in the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa, or COMESA, intra-regional trade has tripled in 10 years, reaching $22 billion. So comparing South Asia's numbers with what has been achieved in other regions of the world, I think we can all say it's clear that regional connectivity is an imperative for economic growth. And this regional economic connectivity is one ingredient for prosperity. Inclusion, specifically women's inclusion, is another key element. Countries are more stable, peaceful, and prosperous when women are healthy, educated, and able to fully participate in their economies and societies. Women entrepreneurs like you all are a powerful symbol of the engagement and empowerment that's required. You're fulfilling your potential by being part of the economic life of your home countries. You're also building bridges to other businesses and empowered women across the region. And it's frankly inspiring to meet a group of dedicated women who are looking forward and giving back to their communities by advancing economic growth both at home and across the region, while also supporting other aspiring women entrepreneurs. So you all should be really proud of what you and we together have accomplished in the economic realm, but there's definitely room to grow. The United States may have imported more goods from Nepal in 2016 than 2015, but the figure of $89 million actually represents a 10% decrease since 2006. On the positive side, the Nepal Trade Preference Program that went into effect last year creates an opportunity based in US law for Nepali exporters and businesses. This Nepal-specific program grants duty-free access until 2025 to the US market for certain Nepali exports. Many of the eligible exports are from the textile sector. Nepal exported over $6 million of these eligible items last year, and we hope we can see these numbers grow. The 77 tariff lines covered by the program may seem confusing, but let me explain some of the details. First, I want to clarify that the Nepal Trade Preference Program is a single country program. It's just for Nepal, and this is very rare for the United States. It also means that this program exists in addition to the US Generalized System of Preferences, also known as GSP, which provides duty-free treatment for certain kinds of goods exported by least developing countries to the United States. So as I said, the Nepal Trade Preference Program is part of the US Trade Facilitation and Trade Enforcement Act of 2015. Following an internal US government review and receipt of a WTO waiver, a presidential proclamation in December of 2016, so just over 8 months ago, determined that Nepal had met the eligibility requirements and the program went into effect. The Nepal Trade Preference Program will be in place again until 2025. So this provides certainty and leverage with buyers when you're negotiating deals. So the big question, what's covered under this program? The legislation initially provided duty-free treatment for 66 eligible tariff lines or categories of products originating in Nepal. Other harmonized tariff schedule lines were later subdivided, and as a result, 77 8-digit tariff lines are now eligible. And if you've ever read a harmonized tariff schedule, I know it's boring, but it is important for you to take advantage of this program. So putting this into language everyone can understand, even the people that don't love to read harmonized tariff schedules, the Nepal Trade Preference Program includes certain kinds of carpets and rugs, shawls, scarves, luggage articles, wallets and pocket goods, travel bags, headbands, blankets, hats, and gloves. So how do you know if a product your business produces is eligible? The details are highlighted in a one-page document that I have shared with SAWDF. To go into the details for just a minute, you can figure out the tariff line associated with your product at the U.S. International Trade Commission website, hts.usitc.gov. Again, technology helping you to access the information that you need to make the connections to help your business grow. So this database is useful if you don't know the harmonized tariff schedule number associated with a product. You can determine if it's eligible just by entering the product's name or a brief description in the search box. Then a list of the HTS numbers associated with that product appear in a box on the left of the screen. You can pick the description that best matches your product, and once you identify that, you can look at the rates of duty section and look for the column called special. If the code NP appears, then the product's eligible for the trade preference program. You might have to explain this to the importer to ensure that she claims this benefit. And again, don't worry if these details are glossing over you right now. It's been a long couple of days, but they are explained in the handout that SAWDF has available for you to read later. There are two other important factors that determine if a product is eligible for duty-free access under this program. First, it must be imported into the United States directly from Nepal without entering the commerce of a third country. And second, there are also rules of origin requirements. The product must be grown, manufactured, or produced in Nepal with the cost of Nepali materials plus the cost of processing equal to at least 35% of the product's sales price. So that's 35%. That leaves ample room for partnerships across countries in the region. Now remember, your products might also qualify for GSP duty-free treatment. 23 of the 77 tariff lines are actually covered by both programs. Or maybe your product only qualifies under GSP. Either way, do your research and make sure the importer puts the correct codes in the customs documents. Okay, so enough technical details. I have 3 pieces of good news to share with you today. First, the textile sector is the largest sector in the developing world after agriculture. This is a sector dominated by small and medium enterprises and holds the potential to create millions of jobs for women and youth across Asia. Second, trade statistics show that Americans particularly love Nepali carpets, textiles, and accessories, many of which now qualify for duty-free entry into the United States. And finally, Nepali businesses already make and export the vast majority of the products that are eligible under this program. So the challenge now that I give to all of you is to scale up production and exports to maximize benefits from the Trade Preferences Program. This is where partnerships come in. The government of Nepal has set a goal of becoming a middle-income country by 2030. The Nepal Trade Preference Program is just one tool to help move Nepal down this path to shared prosperity. We're counting on all of you to help take Nepal's economy and the regional economy to the next level. Help us to pinpoint the challenges, identify the most fruitful opportunities, and spread the word about useful tools, and help each other. And the Trade Preferences Program is just one part of this. And beyond this program, which is what I was asked to speak to you today about, I'd like to offer some more general advice that might help you in this journey to support SMEs, women in business, and regional economic connectivity. So whether you're looking to grow your business, shape the business environment in your country, or expand your marketplace connection, think of these 3 ingredients. Be inclusive, Be specific and be strategic. Let's start with be inclusive. As representatives of women-owned business, business associations, and participants in this summit, you're already on the right track. Women are important contributors to the economy, very important, but they are often overlooked. You know well the challenges faced by women in business, so standing together makes you and your voices stronger. To the urban women here today with us, don't forget your rural sisters. They can provide insights on opportunities at the base of the value chain and be powerful allies in strengthening women's participation in the economy. Enlisting male allies and partners can make you even stronger. You also, as has been mentioned, represent a variety of countries in Asia, and there are and may be some significant differences in the way your cultures, ethnicities, religions, and traditions operate. But the countries you represent do face some similar economic challenges. So I urge you to look to your neighbors for ideas, support, and perhaps even business partnerships. Building connections across a region can be a source of ideas and inspiration and might help you take advantage of market opportunities that would be out of reach if you tried alone. So once you've educated yourselves, educated others, and built partnerships, the next step is to be specific, as has been mentioned by our friend from Malaysia, in your business goals. Focus on the areas of high potential, the gaps in the market, the areas where your business has the greatest potential. Be selective so that you can be a high-quality business that delivers. And frankly, this requires some research. Take time to identify the product or service that could be your niche. Then look at the market. Where do you fit in the value chain? Who are your competitors? Who are your suppliers, partners, buyers, and customers? Having a precise plan backed by evidence and data gives you a clear direction for your business. And the last element of the three-step formula is to be strategic. Successful business is about knowing your market and customer. What is your edge? What is your story? How is your business unique? Being strategic involves charting a specific course so your business stays on track. But it can also mean adapting as markets and economies shift and as opportunities change. The introduction of the Nepal Trade Preference Program is one such opportunity. And as you all know well in business, business is dynamic. You're moving forward, you're stepping back, you're moving to the side, and that's all part of being an active participant in the economic arena. So in conclusion, I'd like to take a step back. So this summit sessions have provided really useful insights into specific sectors, but the bigger picture here is really about building connections and helping Asia to unlock its tremendous economic potential. A stable, prosperous Asia benefits everyone. The task is to find and nurture the economic opportunities for the women and the men of this region. Businesses need the freedom to create partnerships, to move capital, to invest freely, and to pursue new opportunities as soon as they emerge. A dynamic business environment is one that will withstand the shocks and bounce back from the inevitable challenges that every economy faces. It's about being resilient. Maximizing economic returns means breaking down barriers, gender barriers, barriers between neighbors, and even policy barriers. As business leaders, you all hold positions of authority in your home countries. And you all know that leadership is an action. It's not a title or a position. So I look forward to hearing later how all of you here in this room today have taken the knowledge gained from this summit, not only to strengthen your business, but also to invest in building the foundation and networks that keep businesses strong. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Reed, for giving us a walkthrough on how you can participate in this trade preferences program. So I just want to throw this question to the audience, like where we have Nepali entrepreneurs over here. So how many of you have actually taken opportunity, grabbed this opportunity of trade preferences program? Anyone? Yes, so we have some hands raised, of course. So it seems like we are right there. Okay, so without ado, we have a second speaker who is a multi-dynamic personality from Sri Lanka. So Honorable Dr. Anoma Gamage academically comes from medical field, an entrepreneur who has been recognized as best exporters for 3 consecutive years. And I think this is where, like, this is why she is best placed, who can talk more about the exports as an expert. So in this platform today. Honorable Gamage has served as Deputy Minister for Agriculture and Irrigation, which also looked into the textile industries, and who has also been part of various consultative discussions in the parliament on the textiles, irrigations, and agriculture, and all those things. So I think that's where what Ms. Reed has said, that we also need to get into the policy side. We also need to get our policy strong for the textiles or for anything that we are going to take our country ahead. And to cut it short, Dr. Gamage is an epitome of a woman who is successful in taking care of family, business, and also the country simultaneously. I think she needs a round of applause, and I want to welcome Dr. Gamage on the stage and hear from her.
Good morning and namaskar. Let me thank the President of SAWDF, Mrs. Madam Premila Rijal, and the organization committee for inviting me to speak few words at this International Business Women's Forum. In fact, I am very glad and privileged to meet and speak at a gathering of business women across the region. Let me introduce myself to you first. At present, my position is the Deputy Minister of Petroleum and Petroleum Resources Development in Sri Lanka. And I am also the chairperson of our women's wing of our party, that's United National Party, ruling party. I must tell you that any woman has the capacity to do multitask. We are the mother, father, sister, brother at home. Sometimes we play the role of a teacher, guardian, security, doctor, advisor, lawyer, you name it, we are at it. We work like machines. And mind you, this machine should not break down for any reason. It is same with every woman all over the world. My parents are government servants. As a former speaker briefed, in Sri Lanka, you know, it is a very prestigious thing, you know, once you complete your studies to get into government service. And I also have never thought of doing business. And people consider government services, it's a very secure job. You get a pension at the end of the retirement, and also less work, no risk. So everyone is after a government job. But after my high school, I entered the university to follow my undergraduate in veterinary medicine. After passing out, I was posted to a very rural area in the eastern province of Sri Lanka, where I met my husband. And he is from a business family. So he was, from the time I got married, he was pushing me and he was asking me to resign and say to help him in his business, which I never wanted because I, as my parents were government servants, I thought this is a huge risk to get into business. And I told him, I will not be getting any pension if I get into your business, if I join you with my business. And I made an agreement with him. I said, but by that time, I think I was getting about 10,000 rupees Sri Lankan money. But I told him, you have to give me 25,000 rupees at the end of each month. But you should not ask how I am spending this money. So that was the agreement, and he agreed. So I resigned. And as promised, I used to get that money because as a former speaker said, I also don't like to ask any money from anybody. And I knew nothing about business at that time. So I was really scared also. And when you hear about loans, investment, I always get panic, I don't like to be in debt. So then after that, we started, he was in construction business, and then we started a garment factory because one of our late presidents started a program called 200 Garment Factory Program, where he decided to have garment factories in all the rural areas, where the workers need not come to the city. They can go home after the end of their work. So because of that, we also put up a garment factory, and we had to give employment to 500 people. And with the salary was 2,500, and that was a very big amount at that time. And both of us knew nothing about garments. Even I have not seen a juki machine even. But we took the risk. Of course, my husband always takes risks. He's not scared of anything. So I was also pushed into it. And first 2 years, we were running at a huge loss. But slowly, both of us started traveling and learned these things. And we learned from the workers themselves, And after that, we were making profits. And I was, as our moderator told, I was made the best woman exporter for 3 consecutive years. And I was the best woman entrepreneur. So I was very much involved in this textile industry. I have traveled to so many countries, gone after buyers, carrying suitcases and trying to get orders. But now it has come to a state where the buyers come to us. And we do all very prestigious brands to UK and USA. Then how I got into politics is the next interesting thing. My husband was invited to get into provincial council contest. And I was helping him in his social service. But then at that time, it was the political situation in Sri Lanka for our party. Present ruling party was not that good because the former president, it was just after the war victory. But because the party requested, he contested, and he said he's definitely going to lose, but if he loses, that there won't be any representation in the Eastern Province. He said he has to nominate someone from our party, and he nominated my name. So he lost the election, and I got into the parliament. That's how I was elected to the parliament. Then I started working. I'm doing politics, and I think everybody knows, for a woman to do politics is the worst thing. And if you name which women should not do, first is the politics. And the first thing they do is your character is assassinated. But in my case, I am safe because my husband is also in the parliament. So then 2015 election, our party won. And he also won. He was the top of the list. And he was made a cabinet minister, and I was also nominated from the national list because I worked hard. So that's how I got involved in politics, and now I can't get away from it. Like, we have pushed into sea and we have to swim. So now let me tell something about the textile industry, how we are going to sustain this textile industry. The global textile industry, particularly the apparel industry, has seen remarkable changes in the past few years. It is constantly looking out for price competitive sources of garment production. Gone are the days when the textile garment industry was connected in the consumption hubs of US, EU, and other developed countries of the world. The wholesale supply of clothing is increasing worldwide in all the sectors of this industry. The elimination of global export quotas has led to a shift towards low-cost countries and allowed them to strengthen and establish their clothing industry. Countries such as Bangladesh, Thailand, India, Cambodia, Pakistan, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka are just a few examples of such countries. Sri Lanka's apparel industry is one of the most significant contributions to the economy. The industry has recorded substantial growth levels over the past decades. The industry is entirely privately owned. That is very interesting. It is a 100% privately owned industry in Sri Lanka and has been successful in the international market, export value up to 4.8 billion. Garments were a major item, and in the late 1960s, Sri Lanka broke it into the export market. Around 1972, there was a change in outlook towards the industry as existing policy was altered to allow certain sectors to adopt an export-oriented approach. Special foreign exchange allocations and other fiscal and tax incentives were offered to selected export-oriented industries under the package. The period after the late 1970s saw rapid expansion of the clothing industry in Sri Lanka. That's where we started this 200 garment factory program. The impressive growth witnessed during this period can be attributed to two major factors. The first is the market-oriented liberal economic policies introduced in 1977, which was market-friendly and was identified the private sector as the engine of growth, places greater emphasis on the export-led industries. The second important factor which contributed to the remarkable expansion of the Sri Lanka textile and clothing industry is the multi-fiber agreement. Sri Lanka is one of the countries that benefited from the quota hopping investments. The motivation for producers of countries such as USA, Germany, and the UK to move to Sri Lanka was the rise in production cost in their substantial countries. Investment by these two categories of foreign manufacturers fueled the growth of the Sri Lankan clothing industry to a larger extent. In fact, the factories set up as joint ventures and wholly owned foreign companies account for almost half of the total export earnings from garments. A large portion of Sri Lanka's factory work is provided by women. As of 2010, 350,000 women are employed in the country's 850 apparel factories, or 85% of the industry workforce. In sustainability, things are not always as they appear. In particular, thinking on sustainability and textile is set with misunderstandings. Let's start by breaking a few of the most common myths. Across the full cycle of production, natural fibers are not necessarily more sustainable than synthetic fibers. Natural dyes are not necessarily better than chemical ones. Organic cotton currently only amounts to around 1% of the world's harvest, and production cannot be scaled sufficiently quickly to cater to the mainstream gestate. The challenge of finding alternative natural fiber sources is not to be underestimated. Kapok or silk cotton, for example, is available in many places across the world. It is a natural cellulose fiber with a hollow body, a sealed tail, a silky surface, and when in season is abundantly available. All these features make it a desirable candidate for textiles. but other characteristics such as its short fiber length are far more ideal for modern machines. Another similar example is bamboo. Bamboo yarn and fabrics are already marketed as sustainable alternatives. However, the standard process is to break the bamboo down into pulp using chemicals before turning it into rayon fiber, a man-made filament type. Unless this process takes place in a closed-loop environment, it can be damaging to both workers and the environment. And although there is a more traditional mechanical approach, there is little understanding on how it can be adapted and scaled to suit industrial manufacturing. The comparatively straightforward availability of cotton makes it entirely unattractive to invest in the research and machinery required to produce mechanically processed bamboo textiles on an industrial level. In planning for future, we recommend the use of modern techniques, material or design approaches to improve fabric quality. The explorations of traditional designs, techniques or materials with a new perspective. The explorations of new designs based on a broader understanding of the design knowledge. Preserving the art and the meaning of traditional textile among the younger generation. Issuing regulations that provide a safe working condition for the artisan, safeguarding the sustainability of textile industry and the protection for the traditional textiles. Mapping the nation's material produced by each region country. Introducing new technology to artisans to help them develop their skill for the productivity. Collaboration between researchers to challenge the futures for to create the smart, promoting and marketing their products. And the following two should be completely considered. Opposing fast, cheap fashion and damaging patterns of fashion consumption. Defending fair wages, working conditions, and workers' rights. Supporting sustainable livelihood. Addressing toxic pesticide and chemical use. Using or developing eco-friendly fabrics and components. Minimizing water use. Recycling and addressing energy efficiency and waste. Developing or promoting sustainability standards for fashion. Resources, training, and or awareness raising initiatives. Animal rights. The apparel industry is a key sector that needs continuous upgrading and acquisition of new technology and equipment. And finally, all this is only worth if there is wider uptake. Trend forecasters play an important role in spreading and knowledge about new products, as do designers and their alma maters in widening their understanding of sustainable textile production. So also, I would like to say now there are a lot of textile personnel here, entrepreneurs. We should never, as a woman, I think we should never give up. We must say, we should never think that, we are unable to meet these problems. As a woman, all of us have a very big capacity. And from this forum, I think all of us have gathered a lot of knowledge and we have changed our ideas. And we should thank the President for organizing this event. And also, I think this should be taken forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Gamage. And focusing on, so as said before, so she is an example of what a woman who can do. So apart from the family, apart from the academics, apart from the business, and also taking forward to not just the country, but also as I had a conversation with her early in the morning today. So she has been going traveling to different parts of the world, and also discussing about what is the sustainability of all the everything. So how can we make it sustainable? So it also got reflected in her conversation that, okay, so these kind of things or these kind of materials probably are not sustainable, but how can we make it sustainable? So, and also the collaboration that we can make in the industry, inside the country, and also like as Ms. Reid said, so this is a venue, or this is the arena where we are talking about the collaboration, not just inside the country, but also amongst the SAARC nations, and also amongst the Asian countries, and if possible, all across the world. So thank you very much. With this, I would like to get into the question. So first question, like, so I was already prepared with one question, and I thought, the question she has already answered during her speech. I wanted to ask, what was the challenge like while you were organizing this bilateral trade and investment framework agreement talks between United States and Nepal? So could you reflect on, like, so these were some of the challenges, these were some of the things that was there? Because why I want to bring this forth is as as had conversation, and also something that was reflected in the Dr. Gomage, is we also need to step into the policy level. What are the things that we need to change? What are the things, how we can facilitate those things as well? So, Ms. Reid.
Well, thank you all again. First of all, I would probably offer that the very things that I said you can do to be maybe have better edge in business about being inclusive, being selective, being strategic, those also apply to the policy realm, right? You have to think, you have to be inclusive. One of the challenges I faced is, frankly, someone who was helping prepare all of the points for the very high-level officials that came from Washington, and working with my Nepali counterparts to help them prepare their side, is this inclusivity. This was a forum that covered a huge range of topics. Our Trade and Investment Framework Agreement touches on agriculture, labor, manufacturing, textiles, intellectual property rights, foreign investment. It's a really broad range of topics. The economy is a very big space, and no one is an expert on everything. So you really do have to bring in the people who are the experts and who can inform the discussion. And that works both in business and in policy. You need to find the people who can help you understand the problem and find the way forward, and you need to help each other in that. And the same goes with being selective. There are so many opportunities and also so many challenges in business and in policy when you're looking at agriculture, textiles, IT, all of these things, tourism, and you can't change everything all at once. And some things are going to take a really long time to change. So you need to be selective and find the thing that you think is achievable, that if you work together, you get the right people informed, you have the right data to make the case, that you can actually move that forward. And that one thing, even if it's small, will actually make a difference. So that's my answer to that.
So I think, like, I will agree to, so our dignitaries over here on the stage. So what we would like to do is, like, rather than taking a lot of time, like, over here and discussing with ourselves, we can quickly go on and reach to the floor, and then if there are any specific questions that you would like to ask, you can raise your hands, and one by one, you can say, like, who the question is for, and then we'll pick. So we have volunteers over here. So let's go with the questions from the floor. Yes.
Good afternoon. My question is to Stephanie. We just discussed about sharing a concept and signing an agreement, MOU, with ASEAN on Women Great ASEAN, which has a lot of things similar to what you said, putting resources together and we have similar culture, so we will try to promote trade activities between the women of the SAARC region. And since we are going to get into an agreement and sign a MOU with ASEAN, I was just wondering, because we'll have to do some research work for this Nepal Trade Preference Program, which we want to promote through this package. So is there any way that, you could be, US Embassy could be part of this concept that we're going to develop for the women of the SAARC region and for the women group of the ASEAN women group?
Thank you, Pramilaji. I would definitely say that the U.S. Embassy and probably others working here in Kathmandu are very interested in the collaboration between South Asian nations and Asian nations in general. So we'd be more than happy to take a look at some of your ideas and offer some feedback. With regard to the Nepal Trade Preference Program and how that might link to this bigger cooperation, remember that only 35% of the value added needs to be here in Nepal, whether it's the inputs or the processing. So that leaves a lot of space. If you're partnering with someone in Malaysia or Indonesia or the Philippines, as long as that partnership results in a product that is exported from Nepal and has at least 35% of the value of the product's price is added here, that leaves room for all sorts of partnerships across borders, including outside of South Asia.
What is her name?
More
I have
hands
one
from the
question.
yeah, please.
This is, I heard, trade preference policy of US. You said 35%. And during your speech, you have been stressing on environmental issues and all that. So that is fair practice code and all that. I think it's a great opportunity for Nepal because this trade preference allows a lot of other Asian countries to supply to Nepal, and they can manufacture and supply to countries like US. So here it is very relevant to have your green industrial park. So I request on behalf of SAWDF, if we take it up as an industrial activity in Nepal, I think we can supply certain textiles and certain products to you, and you can manufacture value add 35% and supply. Taking into consideration the other parameters which US puts. I think it's possible. So after this meeting, I think we need to discuss on this issue because this is where this trade preference is very important. So you have to utilize from Nepal, take advantage. So we can supply the raw material, suppose for example, jute or even textiles or cotton and organic. All these can be supplied and they can value add. This is only my submission. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much on that. But before I move on, to another question, because so this is where I had a conversation with Dr. Gomage early in the morning. So in 1998, if I'm correct, of the date that we had conversation, even Sri Lanka is imported textile from Nepal. So she has this memory of this. So where we are now, and where do you think we can, catch up to that, and also get into the scene again, and also have that, the exports to Sri Lanka, or there is possible collaboration between two countries. Dr. Gomage.
Yes, as you said, our company imported fabric from Nepal. So that means you all had a lot of factories in Nepal. But as you said, he said now most of the factories are closed down. Even Sri Lanka, we faced the same situation. We had a lot of garment factories, And as I said, with the 200 garment factory program, after that, it was, blooming, but after some time, due to the restrictions, due to the some problems in the market, US market, and also the EU market, most of the factories had to close down. But those days, we had intermediate person, who always did this trade. Buying officers were there. So, but now it is a state where the buyer and the manufacturer is always, they coordinate. There is no intermediate person. So likewise, I think Nepal has the opportunity as to directly coordinate with the buyers. And as she said, this value additions is the most important thing at present. Everyone is looking for value addition. And Nepal also, I think I have seen so many textile designs. There are a lot of people who are very capable. So I think with the help of the US Embassy and other embassies, I think Nepal can again develop this textile industry. Only problem I see is the port. There is no seaport in Nepal. In Sri Lanka, actually the location is very, very demanding, because to USA, it's only 19 days. To UK, it is only 14 days. So we have a very good, very good advantage. So, but although it is, Nepal has their own problems, I think we can develop and we can also help in this. In fact, I was thinking of, I want to tell the president to have I will go and speak with the women chambers in Sri Lanka and see whether this sort of a thing could be organized in Sri Lanka, where all of us can meet again and see, exchange our ideas.
So I just wanted to add one or two on that. So as yesterday I was listening to the president of SAWDF, that Vikasapatnam. So there is a possibility that is there for us in terms of port as well. So probably we can also try to work on that and see how we can get the imports and exports going in as smoothly as possible. So thank you, Dr. Gomage, for that. So we have another question. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not a question. It is to support our Madam Organizer's suggestion of, or rather our move to do a MOA between Great Women, ASEAN, and the region, the group here. I would like to let you know that in the Great Women in ASEAN, part of the whole direction is likewise development. And in ASEAN, the USAID actually helped us to come together, bring the women entrepreneurs together for commercial exchanges. Since Nepal has its unique special program with the USAID, I don't see why we cannot create some kind of first interregional agreement with USAID, and specific to Nepal, some kind of a bilateral agreement between USAID and the Nepal group specific to Great Women. So I just wanted to let you know this, that it is not just a commercial side, but actually support coming from the development agencies that you actually can go after should you wish to work with us in the Great Women in ASEAN. Thank you.
So I think, yeah, Ms. Reid would like to add something on that, yeah.
Excellent, great. I just wanted to clarify one thing, is the Nepal Trade Preference Program is not a development assistance program. It's not through USAID, it's not through the US State Department, it's not through our Department of Commerce, it's actually enshrined within a larger US law. So this is something that our Congress decided to put into law and pass as a way to help Nepal after the earthquake. But it's also a fantastic opportunity, not only for Nepal, but for the region to come together and to work on some of these products. I also want to remind everyone, I hear this a lot, it's not ready-made garments. so if you're having side conversations about Nepal becoming the leading t-shirt manufacturer in the world, that's not what this is about. It's more these smaller niche products, but Nepal makes them all, almost all of them already. And there's only room to grow, to create partnerships, to scale production. And I think this is when you're really looking about what some of our other speakers talked about finding your niche. It's about quality, it's about value, it's about that story behind the product. Because a small landlocked country like Nepal is never going to compete with a huge ready-made garment manufacturer. But there are other opportunities here. And as a representative of the US government, I'm not a businesswoman. And I really admire you all for the ingenuity and the risks and the creativity. And so we really look to you all who are in business, who are in the private sector, who are living this day-to-day, facing the challenges, seizing the opportunities to find the ways forward. And those of us who work in government, whether it's DFID or AusAid or others, will sort of do what we can to help, but that's really not our area. We're government, and government's never been in the forefront in pushing these things forward. It's really you all to push and guide, whether you're pushing your governments or pushing each other. So I would just offer that.
Thank you very much. I am Sarda Rizal from Federation of Women Entrepreneur Association of Nepal. Since we are talking about textile industry, in Nepal we have very big challenges of three things: trade unions, raw material, and skilled labor. So without these three components, garment business cannot be flourished. So I would like to ask, is here any government people who are listening about it? And another question is, not question, so I have started my business 1989 with the garment manufacturer. After 10 years, I have diversified to handicraft business because of all these hassle. So since now US government is giving us 0% tax, so we women entrepreneurs would like to establish textile industry and manufacture the product. And sorry to say, we don't want only 35% value add. We want to produce textile and product here. So I would like to ask all the women entrepreneurs from different countries how we can work together. Thank you.
There was not any specific questions for any of the speakers. Yeah, so we have someone there.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm from the Maldives. My name is Mariam Shakila. While waiting for my chance to speak, I think I've got the answers to most of the questions that I had in my mind. But Maldives is a place where none of these skills that you are talking about, or none of the raw materials are available. And then my actually request from you is that those people who have the material, who have the raw material and also the skills to help us to develop an industry. We did have a garment industry before that was in very small scale, started in the southern part of the Maldives, which for some reason stopped. But this is there's an opportunity there. And then also, as you know, there's a huge tourism industry over there. So the products could also be sold for those people who are actually waiting for a market. So that's my request to you, to all of us to collaborate together and then develop this industry in the Maldives from wherever possible. Thank you. Then Pramila, please, thank you very much for this opportunity. We have learned a lot from here and then also got the opportunity to network. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can give a small suggestion to you. Now, although we have very big garment factories in Sri Lanka, our garment, we had a concept called mini garments. That is 25 workers. And then we posted an instructor. Actually, this was, we started it last year. Mini garments with a instructor, and they will have 3 months training. And after that, they will be given orders from either from the big factories, or they themselves can create, do whatever they want and create the market. So I can get you the concept. I have the details of everything from the Trade and Commerce Ministry. I can mail it to you so that you can develop it in your own way. And in my area, I have started 8 such mini garments now.
There you go. We have the direct collaboration, so right over here in the conference hall. So I think you can catch up with Dr. Gomage like later on. So we have one more. Yeah.
My name is Sudha. I come from India and I represent the Handloom Enterprises of India. This question is open to the government people involved in various countries. So I want to understand on the whole textile policy and how does handlooms figure in terms of the budget and the incentives that the government gives to handloom and craft sector. Because back home in India, handlooms were suddenly brought into the tax regime, which was not there earlier, like under a tax called GST, that is Goods and Services Tax, which is one tax for whole nation in India, and it's a big blow to the handlooms in India. So would like to hear on the handloom allocation within the textile framework in different countries. Thank you. Maybe Gomango can answer from Sri Lanka. Okay. You're in the government.
Yeah. Actually, I think nowadays, these handloom industries, everyone is interested in handloom industries. And in Sri Lanka, it's very, very popular, getting popular, and also very expensive. But for this, we import yarn from India. And we have a trade agreement with India, FTA. So with that, we get a very big concession. And I think because of that, our industrialists are not that affected, and also they don't complain anything as such. I have to check and let you know.